George Mason community, we dedicate this evening's ceremony and celebration to Jeffrey Michael Bandy, class of 2018. At this time, please rise for the presentation of our colors by the JROTC Virginia Group 821 and the singing of our national anthem. Thank you. Please be seated.
Good evening. The melody and lyrics of the George Mason High School alma mater were written in 1959 by graduating senior Will Greer. The song was memorialized in calligraphy on a framed picture that is hung in the main office since 1959. But the song has never been performed according to the composer, Mr. Greer. That is until Cassandra Rice, a senior in IB Music, was inspired to turn the picture into music, harmonizing the melody and arranging the song for band and chorus. This evening, we premiere the George Mason High School alma mater with singers from the GMHS choir, the senior class, and the GMHS wind ensemble. Please find the lyrics on the back of your program and join us in singing our alma mater.
George Mason.
Good evening, and welcome to this memorable occasion in the lives of our George Mason High School seniors. We extend an especially warm welcome to the friends and families of our seniors. We know that some of you have traveled great distances to be with us this evening. We thank you. I am joined on stage by George Mason Valedictory scholars and speakers, Margaret Hicks, Miles Jackson, and Mithi Penner. We are greatly honored by the presence and participation of our colleague and our friend, Mr. Chris Pekralidis. Thank you, Chris, for joining us today. Also joining us on stage are Senior Class President Courtney Waddles, Senior Class Vice President Julie Connolly, Senior Class Secretary Evelyn DeRoss, Senior Class Treasurer Nicholas Wells, SCA At-Large Representative James Weichert, Superintendent Dr. Peter Noonan, Chief Operations Officer Ms. Kristen Michael, School Board Vice Chair Mr. Greg Anderson, Mayor of Falls Church City Mayor David Tarter, Director of Counseling Ms. Alana Reyes, Senior Class Advisors Mr. William Snyder and Mr. Brad McAdam, Assistant Principals Dr. Kevin Clark and Mr. Dave Sorensis, Dean of Students Ms. Sia Knight, Athletic Director Ms. Julie Braven, School Counselors Ms. Valerie Chesley and Dana Kieran, Band Director Ms. Mary Jo West, and the George Mason Wind Ensemble, and to the left of the stage, Choral Director Ms. Jamie Sample, and the George Mason High School seniors. Woo! I would also like to acknowledge 3 Falls Church City Public School principals seated to the left of the stage. Joining us from Mount Daniel Elementary School, Mr. Tim Kasich. From Thomas Jefferson Elementary School, Mr. Paul Swanson. And from Mary Ellen Henderson Middle School, Ms. Valerie Hardy. Thank you for being a part of this meaningful occasion. I now invite Class Vice President Julie Connolly to come forward and welcome you on behalf of her fellow seniors.
Hello, I am the Senior Class Vice President, and on behalf of the Class of 2019, I would like to welcome family, friends, teachers, administration, and fellow graduates to George Mason High School's commencement ceremony for the Class of 2019. We as a class would like to thank everyone's parents for their love and support, our teachers for their guidance and knowledge, and our friends for being there throughout our high school years. We would also like to thank the principals and teachers of Mount Daniel, Thomas Jefferson, and Mary Ellen Henderson for helping us so much during our years at Falls Church City Schools. Another big thank you to our class. Another big thank you to our class sponsors, Mr. Snyder and Mr. McAdam. Finally, I would like to congratulate and thank all of you, the Class of 2019, for being one of the most distinguished and diverse classes Mason has ever seen. It is now my sincere pleasure to introduce the School Board Vice Chair, Mr. Greg Anderson, who will bring greetings from the School Board.
Thanks, Ms. Connolly, and good evening, everyone, and welcome. I have the pleasure of being here to speak on behalf of the school board, and so on behalf of the Falls Church City School Board, I'm going to start by saying I'd like to congratulate you, the class of 2019, on reaching this milestone in your lives. It's a job well done, so congratulations. I'd also like to congratulate your parents, your guardians, your families, your friends, and everyone else who helped guide and support you along the way here. Thinking about it, no doubt, countless mornings, countless late nights, forms, car shuttles, texts, cahoots, Schoology notes, cajoling, and a little bit of encouragement in the right times. They've done it, everybody, so congratulations. I'd also like to thank all of the members of Team FCCPS who are here today and who have helped along the way, faculty, staff, administrators across the division, for your hard work and your dedication in bringing these students to this point in their lives. So congratulations and thank you. I'd like to also thank Mayor Tarter, the City Council, the city staff, and all of our community for your continued engagement and support of our school. Couldn't do it without you, and we thank you. And finally, I'd like to thank the Mason Wind Ensemble and the senior singers for the beautiful music today. So, members of the class of 2019, I really hope you're proud of everything you've accomplished. We on the board were consistently impressed and inspired by your creativity, your caring for each other, your courage to take on some big challenges. Whatever your journey takes you next, whether that's entering the working world, whether that's furthering your education, military or other public service, or some other path, I hope that you'll continue to use those skills and your creativity and your courage and your caring to make the world a better place in ways that are both great and small. We'd hope you'd come back to Falls Church and George Mason High, which is, of course, soon to be the new George Mason High, and share your journeys with us, because we'd really love to see what you do next, and we want to hear about those stories, so please do that. For now, congratulations. Enjoy today. It's a big accomplishment. And I would just end by saying I have the great pleasure of introducing the Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Peter Noonan.
Good afternoon. Hello, class of 2019. Congratulations to all of you. It looks pretty good. It's a nice view up here looking at you all in red. I'm very proud of all of you. Today, I have the distinct honor and privilege to recognize the students from George Mason High School that are pursuing the IB diploma this year, our George Mason scholars and the valedictory scholars as well. The International Baccalaureate or IB diploma is awarded to students who have elected to pursue the most rigorous course of study available at George Mason High School. These students took 7 or more college-level courses, completed a philosophy course called Theory of Knowledge, or TOK, as you all know it, and wrote extended essays on the topic of their choice. Further, they documented numerous extracurricular activities, including creative endeavors, their participation in clubs, organizations, sports, and their service learning efforts throughout our community. And for that, we are thankful. The award of the IB diploma will be based on the successful completion of all of these IB diploma requirements and the grades earned on their IB exams. This year, the class of 2019, there are 51 students that are receiving recognition as IB diploma candidates. Today, they are wearing gold medals with a black and red ribbon around their neck to signify their achievement in the International Baccalaureate program. Will the candidates for the IB diploma recognition please stand to be recognized now? All right, you could sit down. Congratulations to you. The George Mason Scholar Award recognizes the outstanding academic achievement of our graduating seniors. This award is presented to students who have completed a high school program which includes a minimum of 25 credits, a cumulative grade point average of 3.85 or better, and the following courses taken for letter grades: 4 years of social studies, 4 years of college preparatory mathematics, 3 years of one foreign language or 2 years of 2 different foreign languages, 3 years of lab science, and an International Baccalaureate courses in 2 different disciplines. This year, there are 84 students receiving this award. They are wearing silver medallions to recognize and signify their outstanding academic achievement. Will the recipients of the George Mason Scholar Award please stand at this time for recognition? Thank you. And finally, this evening, we recognize 67 students tonight who have earned the distinction of being named George Mason Valedictory Scholars by maintaining a cumulative grade point average of 4.0 or better through their years in high school. Tonight, they're wearing gold medallions to signify their outstanding academic achievement. Will the recipients of the George Mason Valedictory Scholar Award please stand for recognition at this time? Congratulations to all of you in 2019. Congratulations to the team. You have done an outstanding job.
Hello, I'm Maggie Hicks. Thank you, teachers, friends, and other guests for joining us today. And how about a huge shout out to all the parents out there who got us here, particularly the ones who helped raise me. Thank you. And congrats, class of 2019. We did it. So earlier this year, I went skiing in Montana with my dad. It was the 4th day of the trip, and despite being in my happy place, I was exhausted. And let's just say I'd face planted more than once that day. We decided to hit a black diamond called Evan's Heaven. After a couple of near-death saves, we came up on a beautiful clearing. The sun bounced off the frozen pine trees, and fresh powder sparkled like diamonds. It genuinely felt like I was in the middle of a Bob Ross painting. Then I looked down. Somehow, we had strayed from Evan's Heaven and gotten ourselves stuck in a hellacious mess of rocks, what skiers call a chute. This is a narrow part of the slope that is lined with rocks on both sides. Your only choice is to go straight down and hope you don't fall. So there I was, looking out at one of the most breathtaking views I'd ever seen. I was comfortable, happy, and doing what I loved. And right in front of me was this crazy, scary path into the unknown, and I had no choice but to follow it. I think I speak for a lot of us when I say that this is pretty much exactly how I'm feeling right now. I'm looking out at all of you, and I feel safe and comfortable. And yes, you all look pretty amazing. This year has been full of excitement for the future, watching the view ahead of us and seeing all the opportunities we are destined for. But, just like that day on the mountain, as lovely as this view is, we have to move forward. And there are a lot of scary things ahead of us. Our generation has some really tough challenges to solve. Climate change, gun violence, immigration, healthcare, just to name a few easy ones. We're going to have to cure diseases, some of which may not have even been discovered yet. And we're going to have to figure out how to use artificial intelligence to our advantage, while not being replaced by it. If you're a Falls Church City Schools lifer like me, you are going to have to go to class for the first time and not be in a room full of people you've known your whole life. Heck, I was at Jesse Thackeray back when it was still a daycare, before it was cool. Like me, you may be thinking, maybe we should just stay up here together on this mountain. But that's not an option. So, here we go. Fortunately, we've got a pretty solid foundation to help us make it through this chute. In our science classes, teachers like Miss Goss and Miss Pollock have taught us to be inquisitive, skills that will serve us well as we solve global warming and cure disease. And in our history and government classes, teachers like Miss Eisenberg, Mr. Ferentinos, and Miss Chinchek taught us to draw lessons from the past to shape our future and create the world that we want to live in. Thanks to teachers like Mr. Laub, Mr. Walsh, and Mr. Kelly, we know how to speak our minds and stand up for things we believe in. While teachers like Senores Albert, Planas, and Stigal gave us a strong global perspective. We're surrounded by teachers and administrators who have brought out the best in us. From the first day of kindergarten, Miss Haleko taught us to be kind and embrace every challenge with grace. Teachers like Miss Harbison and Miss West taught us to be creative and have fun along the way, while Miss Piscopo imparted the bare necessities of life on all of us. But we've also got each other. Take a look around. You're looking at the strongest support system you could have. We've been through a lot together. From swimming field trips at TJ, to muddy field days at MEH,
to the most violent game of pep rallies I have ever witnessed at this year's pep rally. We have memories that will stay with us when we are separated by states or even countries. Remember that time when we spent an hour in the parking lot for a fire at TJ, and it turned out to be a burnt bagel? Or how about the day we needed a raft to get to science class? Can you believe that we had 2 days off for sewage backup? I think we had more poop days that year than snow days. And let's not forget our friendly geese in the senior courtyard, or Enrique, the resident raccoon, who I'll always be grateful did not fall on my head during English class. Some of these memories are here to make us smile, but others have shaped us into the people we are today. Things like the student walkout, the 12-minute drills, and the bomb threat taught us to be resilient, and even showed us that we do have a voice and an ability to spark change. Through these experiences, we have created a bond that will stick with us in the years to come. So, back to Evan's heaven. I gave my dad a look, he gave me a smile, and off I went. I may or may not have been screaming the whole time, and my dad was definitely laughing at me, but as you can see, I survived. And after the initial shock, it was pretty incredible. So take a moment to take this all in. Give a little thumbs up to each other. We've got this. No matter how scary or steep the slope ahead of us may be, I am so excited to see where each of us ends up. And whether you're standing at the top or safely at the bottom, remember to heed Ferris Bueller's advice. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Thank you.
Good evening, congratulations, and thanks to family, friends, faculty, staff, and class of 2019. We made it. When I wrote this speech, and thus when I frantically searched the internet for some examples, they all seemed to start with this remark, so I figured I had to begin mine this way as well. We made it. We made it. Because of our distinguished English department here at George Mason, I can recognize this short sentence as a simple one, where we is the subject, and made it is the predicate, where made is the transitive verb, and it is the object pronoun of the sentence. Absolutely riveting stuff, I know. But all that does very little to inform us of what the sentence actually means. What exactly did we make? What does graduation, this allegedly crucial and decisive milestone in our lives, actually signify? What do we have to show for all our hard work? Let me tell you right now that at the tender, so tender age of 18, I am certain of very few things in this world. But one thing I can confirm is that we did not spend 13 years or more in school to memorize the quadratic formula or to perfectly execute each component of Dr. DeFazio's tripartite thesis, or to remember whether acid should be poured into water or vice versa. I still don't know that one. Our time spent at George Mason was not so that we could keep track of when the vending machine gets refilled, or hear Mr. Stewart and Dr. Clark sing Total Eclipse of the Heart at the JV show, or even to keep straight SL from HL, not to mention TOK, EE, AS, IA, IEA, IOP, IOC, MLI, I could go on. Even though it definitely felt like it at times, and though the realization comes a little late at this point, I now understand that high school is not for testing how difficult and stressful and impossible you can make your life. Isn't for throwing the not quite but almost cooked spaghetti noodle that is your sanity at the wall and seeing if it sticks, helplessly watching it hang on for dear life. That's what I did. This is not why we're here today. So what exactly did we make then? Well, there are many answers to this question, but at the moment, from my present outlook, my answer for you is that we made connections. We connected with our peers and educators, sure, but we also learned how to connect our own lives to the lives of others. We learned to empathize, or in the world of IB, we learned to be open-minded. In the sciences, we learn about how everything in our universe encounters common forces and behaves similarly. In English and history, we learn about how everyone, culture or time period aside, is related by common life experiences and values. In math, we learn theoretical constructs that help us appreciate our environments of time and space. In theater, we actually attempt to embody someone else, think others' thoughts. Regardless of discipline, though, I believe high school teaches us not what to think, but rather how. It teaches us perspective. Again, I am certainly no expert, but if I were to guess, I would say that if high school teaches us how to think, then that which waits for us beyond high school teaches us how to thrive. Now that we are equipped with strategies for understanding our world, we are ready to learn what makes us work most efficiently, and more importantly, what we enjoy doing. And though it's fun to throw around a congratulatory "we made it" to emphasize what we have accomplished, it is important also to remember how much more we have ahead of us. After all, a milestone doesn't tell you where to stop and celebrate, but rather simply reveals where you are along the way. So I guess the statement "we made it" is better phrased as a question. What will we make? I'll give you the easy answers now. We will make our parents proud, and we will make friends. But what will we make of the rest of our lives? What will we make of the world in which we reside and beyond? Don't try to answer now, but do consider what you want your next milestone to be, and aim. It's been an incredible 13 years, folks. Enjoy yourselves. Think smart. George Mason High School class of 2019, we made it.
At this time, I would like to recognize two of my colleagues who are serving as faculty marshals. They led our distinguished faculty into the hall this evening. We honor Miss Suzanne Planis, who joined the George Mason community in our World Language Department in 2003 and is retiring after 16 years of service. We would also like to honor Mr. Mark Robarge, our Distinguished Falls Church Education Foundation Teacher of the Year. Thank you for your incredible service, dedication, and commitment to these seniors and to many other Mustangs before them. At this time, I would also like to acknowledge Mr. Chris Pacrolitis as our commencement speaker and a member of our Individuals and Societies Department, who is also retiring after 23 years of service. We ask that he stand and be recognized. I now invite Class Treasurer Nicholas Wells to come forward for the presentation of the class gift.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. While deciding on what sort of gift we should leave, the SCA thought a lot about how we could honor our experience as Mustang. We realized that with the new school about to break ground, it would be difficult to contribute something tangible, so we looked elsewhere to support our. Thus, it was our pleasure to donate our time and money to the Falls Church Homeless Shelter over the course of this year. With our remaining funds, we tried to find a way to support some Mustangs. Now, maybe we took the idea too literally, but we ultimately decided to sponsor a horse through Hope's Legacy Equine Rescue, a nonprofit that cares for abused and neglected horses. We thought it would be a fitting way to pass on the care and compassion that the Mustang community has shown us all. Thank you.
Good evening to all of you, family, friends, faculty, and my fellow graduates, the class of 2019. Ten years ago, I'd have never guessed that I'd be standing here today. In fact, I took my first steps in this country thinking that I wouldn't even be finishing middle school here, let alone graduating high school with all of you. And now, like then, I can't fathom where we'll all be 10 years in the future. And so I stand here, looking at the end of this chapter in my life, thinking about where it all began. The trip that brought me to the United States of America. 10 years ago, this all started for me, like it will for many of you, with a journey into the unknown. However, I hope your upcoming travels won't be as miserable as my plane ride here. I still get the shivers thinking about the trip. 7-year-old me, meek and small, endured a 72-hour-long journey, complete with 1, a Category 4 hurricane that caused detours to anywhere but our destination. 2, a screaming toddler who was trying to compete with said hurricane for who could make my chair shake the most. And 3, a man in the seat next to me who was well on his way to his third barf bag. And so, as our plane finally began to land over the Capitol and I laid my eyes upon the majesty of the Washington Monument, all I could think about was, I am so hungry. And I wasn't alone. My family's stomach sounded like the second coming of that hurricane we flew through, and so when we stumbled upon a random McDonald's on our drive from the airport, my parents, without skipping a beat, pulled a hard right into the parking lot, and before we knew it, Big Macs and chicken nuggets, fish filet sandwiches, pancakes, apple pie, and everything in between was being stuffed into our mouths. Our first meal in America. Little did I know that 7 years later, I'd stumble upon that very same McDonald's once again. Little did I know that I'd start making regular visits there, whether it was taking orders for my fellow theater cast members, having study sessions with my best friends over milkshakes, or grabbing fries with the boy I fell in love with. Little did I know that those people I now cherish and hold close to my heart would come from Mason, from a building right across that McDonald's, from a place I'd eventually call home. Little did I know that I was merely feet away from George Mason High School a decade ago. But what I do know now is that I'm not the only one who has found something within these Mason walls. Whether it was a friend, a hand, or a memory, we're all walking out those doors with a story to tell. But alas, as all stories go, we have reached the final chapter, and our time here is finally coming to a close. The moments we've shared together over the past 4 years are turning into photographs stored in time capsules or delicate writing smeared in a diary entry. Nothing but golden memories. Golden memories we'll stuff in our back pockets as we pack our things and get into that plane or car, bus or train, whatever it may be, and get catapulted into the unknown, free falling by ourselves, hoping, praying we'll land on both 2 feet. And I'm not going to deny it. It's probably going to be the scariest thing any of us have ever done in our entire lives. But in all honesty, that's just a knee-jerk reaction to have, because when I look around, I know in my heart that each and every one of you is capable of amazing things. I see it every day, right from the moment I walk up those chalk-covered steps. One would have to be a golden ticket winner to step into these walls, because you have made Mason a place of pure imagination. Whether it's an army of students, choir students, standing at attention at 7 a.m., ready to sing their hearts out, or a flurry of hands in English class ready to answer the next question, or the roars of a spirited crowd cheering as basketball records get shouted left and right. Take a spin and look around, because what you'll see will defy explanation. I said earlier that I couldn't imagine where we'd all be in 10 years. But with what I see in all of you today, mark my words, you're going to be doing great things. Thank you.
The commencement speaker for tonight's ceremony is our very own Mr. Chris Bacalidis, commonly known as Mr. P. Mr. Bacalidis is the first-generation son of culturally Greek immigrants from Cyprus and received his undergraduate degree from the University of Virginia, Wahoo, with distinction and a specialization in Latin American studies. Mr. Bacalidis taught college-level economics at North Carolina State University, where he earned his Master of Economics, University of Virginia, where he was also a PhD candidate, and Sweetbriar College. In his time teaching at Sweetbriar College, Mr. Bacalidis was presented with the Excellence in Teaching Award, which is given annually to a faculty member based on their accomplishments inside and out of the classroom. Mr. Bacalidis has served as a staff member at George Mason High School since the graduating class of 1997. He's been part of the mathematics, social studies, and technical education departments. He was the social studies department leader from 2000 to 2005, introduced new classes like IB Economics, and has been the first and only sponsor of the Entrepreneurs Club. Additionally, Mr. Procaldis was on the faculty committee that devised the honor code. The last thing to know about Mr. Procaldis is his humor. He is well known for his humorous tweets and has been awarded the male faculty superlative of most humorous 2 years in a row. Mr. Procaldis has been a vital part of Mason culture for many years now. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Chris Procaldis.
Let's hear it for Evelyn. Evelyn is evidence that you can take IB Economics and survive. Evelyn's a very thoughtful student who will be attending the University of Virginia in August. Congratulations, Evelyn. Parents and friends, Mayor Tartar, Ms. Michael, Mr. Anderson, Dr. Noonan, Mr. Hills, school administrators, valedictory scholars, senior class, student government officers, and my colleagues for the next 2 weeks. Good evening. I apologize if I missed anybody in that group. Now, despite my acceptance of giving this address, let me make it perfectly clear that I am not assuming your college debts like the speaker at Morehouse College did last week. If you need help, I'll talk to you after. I have a loan shark business. Class of 2019, you haven't graduated yet, so I ask that you follow my instructions when I give them to you. Be serious when you're supposed to be serious, laugh when you're supposed to laugh, and if you don't know what to do, I'll tell you what to do. Class of 2019, thank you so much for the honor of selecting me as your commencement speaker. You only graduate from high school one time. So I will be your only high school commencement speaker in your entire life. So I take this responsibility seriously. Much of this evening, we will be spent thanking city leaders, administration, teachers, your parents, all of those who helped you get to this point of earning a diploma from George Mason High School, the best traditional high school in the Commonwealth of Virginia. But it is we, the teachers, administrators, staff, parents, and citizens, who should thank you for bringing intelligence, enthusiasm, and joy to our lives, perpetuating our legacy. Because to some extent, the success of civic leaders, teachers, and parents is measured by the success of its students. And let me add, your success is far from over. We count on each other. We are indeed, as Superintendent Dr. Noonan says, better together. And we have been a success measured by most criteria. As many of you know, I'm an economist. The late Paul Samuelson, the Nobel Prize-winning economist, had already established himself as a great thinker as a graduate student when he was defending his dissertation to get his PhD at Harvard University. His two professor advisors, two great economists themselves, Wassily Leontief and Joseph Schumpeter, in a role reversal, were so impressed with the student, Mr. Samuelson, that they asked of Mr. Samuelson, soon to be Dr. Samuelson, did we pass? So George Mason High School students, in my role reversal to you, class of 2019, I know you have passed with flying colors. I hope that I also do so tonight. Give yourselves a round of applause. So, class of 2019, when Principal Hills asked me to deliver the commencement address at your request, I did a double take. But, class of 2019, I was used to doing a double take. Connor and Brendan Fletchell, Isabel and Sonia Liu, Riley and Shay Ruyak, Grace and Margaret Akins. I had two goalies in the same IB economics class, Ishan Bala and James Weichert. You know nothing get past those two. Jay Nesson, the intelligent, affable, and high-achieving basketball player. Jay Nesson, the intelligent, affable, and high-achieving baseball player. The triplets, Vlad, Miles, and Brian. And the twins, Alexander Biggs and Kaylee Ziegler, who somehow, as for being twins, do not look alike and do not have the same last name. Alex was an excellent student in government in 2016-17. Kaylee was an excellent student in IB economics in 2017-18, and I was her extended essay advisor. I know that Kaylee will join Evelyn at the University of Virginia in Charlottesville this fall. And I noticed in the yearbook that she has quoted Tina Fey, who is a University of Virginia graduate. Now, I would often pass by that most sacred of locations, the senior alcoves, where all the world's most pressing problems are solved. And listen to Kaylee displaying her mastery. Where are you, Kaylee? Her mastery of world languages, her elocution of Pig Latin is the best I've ever heard. So I figured it out. Thomas Jefferson, the founder of the University of Virginia, had great respect and knowledge of the classics like Latin, and obviously Kaylee does too. So, wahoo wah, Kaylee, and utge ukle. So tonight we commence. We commence the rest of our lives, whether in college, traveling, military, working, or playing video games. So let us commence to do our own laundry. Don't forget to separate the whites from the colors. Cooking your own food or eating institutional food. Avoid the dreaded 15 of freshman year. The tendency for freshmen to gain 15 pounds. Getting along with a roommate who has a different name than yours. Calling home for money. Being a lifelong learner and exploring new ideas. Making a buck or two. And in this new age, going through the same phase as your parents, but with so many new phenomena. Self-driving automobiles, eating meatless meat, taking vacations in space. And we will be there with you, always in person, but in spirit also. I too am a senior. Citizen. So I'm commencing to watch every episode of Pardon the Interruption and Chopped on the Food Channel. What I'm wondering is, what happens if El Chapo gets on Chopped? You've already done a lot. According to Ms. Reyes, the Director of Counseling, 100% graduation rate for years running, compared to 84.6% in 2016-17 in 4 years, according to the U.S. Department of Education. 87% of seniors took an IB course, according to Mr. Coast, the IB coordinator. The 2018 SAT scores, not yours, George Mason, 1264, Virginia, 1,101, U.S., 1071. Well, my math skills show that George Mason is higher than those other two numbers. By the way, did you know what the aspiring writer who was applying to college drank? SAT. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the median family income in the United States is 2017 in Falls Church was $61,372. Excuse me, in the United States was $61,372. In Falls Church, $114,795. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 33.4% of adults over 24 had earned at least a bachelor's degree in the United States. In Falls Church, 74.4%, usually the number one jurisdiction in the United States. So we predict great things for you. But for a moment, let us change, and hopefully forever, the paradigm. By the way, that's a Greek word. In this data-driven world, we're at a rush to express ourselves in evidentiary or quantitative terms of where we went to school, what our SAT scores were, where we went to college, what our major was, how many degrees we acquire, how much money we make, whether we have a BMW break my wallet. This is all anathema to me, another Greek word. First, let us define who we want to be. Let us define ourselves by our character, our integrity, our compassion, our tolerance, our humility, what brings us joy, and then find ways in which to get there. We should think about the college we attend, the degree we achieve, the occupation we join, as vehicles to define who we are and take us to the person we want to be. Life is a journey, not a destination. If I were in the occupation I thought I was going to be at 18, I would now be currently a retiring foreign service agent. At 18, if you had asked me whether I had plans to be a high school teacher, I would have said the chances of that happening were 0%. But I did know what kind of person I wanted to be from a very young age. And although I have not been perfect, I've tried very hard to be honest, hardworking, thoughtful, compassionate, helping others, and the ability to sincerely make a gyro. Class of 2019, please repeat after me. What we do is not necessarily who we are. What we do is not necessarily who we are. My job for life has been to be crispicrolitis. Yes, we have to be realistic. At the job interview at Falls Church City Public Schools or anywhere else, I didn't hear the employer say, I see that you're applying to be crispicrolitis. But that's what I was thinking, maybe not at that moment, but previously I was. I wanted an occupation that allowed me to be me. What college, what occupation will allow you to be who you should be? Whatever that might mean, whether it's to be compassionate, honorable, tolerant, joyful. Class of 2019, what you do is not necessarily who you are. Some of you will transfer from what college you have chosen. Some of you will decide college is not for you. Some of you who went into business or the military will later say, college is for me. Some of us are tall. Some of us are not tall. I'm not getting any taller, and there's nothing I can do to get taller. But we can all be good human beings. All it takes is to set standards and live up to those high standards. All it takes is judgment to discern what the right thing is and the guts to follow it up. What we do will change. I'm evidence of that. But a life of integrity, compassion, and humility does not have to change. This takes judgment and discipline. And parents, you have to help. How many of you have asked your sons or daughters at the end of a school day, how was school today? How was that government test today? But how many of you asked, how's that integrity thing going? Tell you the truth, I'm not exactly sure how you asked that question. And even more difficult is, how do you measure the answer? But guess what, society? This is my only platform for tonight. We have to find a way. We have to change the world. And let us start right now for the rest of your lives. Class of 2019, you have had great teachers. In college, you'll have many inspiring, wonderful, thought-provoking people who have the job of professor. But you will also find a few who have the title of professor but are not teachers. There are lawyers who have law degrees and practice law, but they do not promote justice. Don't be the president's fixer. Be Ruth Bader Ginsburg, fighting for equal rights. I'd like to sit down with Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Bill Clinton, I believe, was probably the best politician and compromiser during my lifetime. Donald Trump is an expert marketer. I'd love to go have a lemonade and talk politics and business with these two. But neither one of them could ever be my friend. And you can wonder why. Richard Nixon would have been ranked as one of the great presidents, except for this little thing called the Watergate scandal. Richard Spencer, a graduate of the University of Virginia, was one of the leaders of the white supremacist march in Charlottesville in the summer of 2017. Obviously, not all Wahoos are like men's basketball coach Tony Bennett. You've earned your way to college, or business, or the military. Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman bribed their children's way to college. Pete Rose was one of the great hitters in baseball history, but he will never be inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame because he bet on baseball games. While Jackie Robinson fought racial injustice and carved the way for future minorities to play in baseball by being the first black in Major League Baseball. Even if no one catches you cheating while taking performance-enhancing drugs like Lance Armstrong, or cheating on your taxes, or cheating on your loved one, you will know. And you will lose the respect of the most important person in your life, you. Respect yourself. If you joined a club or a sport in high school or engaged in a charitable event to enhance your college application, that was great. That was then, this is now. In the future, you will have to motivate yourself to be the person you want to be, not what the colleges want you to be. And you'll have to do the right thing. You are now applying for life, the rest of your life. And you are the admissions officer for yourself. Set high standards and don't accept anything less. Be your own role model. Don't look for someone else to resemble. Who do you want to be? Become that person. I wanted to be a logical thinker. First, then I became an economist. Doesn't all work out that way. You know. I wanted others to be logical thinkers. I became a teacher. 50 years ago, almost to the day, the young first-generation American student, the son of culturally Greek immigrants from Cyprus, who, as we all know, the Constitution says they have to run restaurants in the first generation, and vice president of his public Fort Hunt High School in Fairfax County, the class of 1969, addressed his graduating class at commencement exercises. As part of his address, he was asked to give a benediction, a prayer, which today would be unconstitutional. So except for that, I find myself in the same place I was 50 years ago, addressing a graduating class. My high school was a great place, just like George Mason High School. But much has occurred in the last 50 years. What I have done has changed, but who I am really has not. I know your journey will be as rewarding and joyous as mine. because George Mason High School, your parents, Falls Church, but mostly because of you. So set your ethical standards high and reach them. What you do might change, but who you are does not have to. Have the courage to be someone great. You've done it so far. Don't change. I am so jealous. I think of my days as an undergraduate. What a wonderful time. The intellectual life, the all-night dormitory debates on some philosophical issue, the inspirational classes, the great lectures, going to plays, concerts, being around young people who loved learning for learning's sake, but still were career-oriented. The social life. Yes, I did go to one party. George Mason High School class of 2019, I love you. Great achievements lie in your future. Make sure that what you do is consistent with who you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Procraldus. It is now my distinct pleasure to invite my colleagues, Ms. Reyes, Director of Counseling, Mr. McAdam and Mr. Snyder, Senior Class Advisors, Ms. Chesley and Ms. Kieran, Counselors, to join me in presenting the diplomas to the Class of 2019.
Karen Vasquez. James Patrick Weichert. Julie Cecilia Connolly. Margaret Elizabeth Hicks. Miles Andrew Jackson. Nicholas Wesson Wells. Mithi Maria Penaranda. Evelyn Winfield Walsh-Ross. Courtney Marie Waddles. Kelvin Vasquez. Hayden Henry Abbott. Shabir Syed Ahmed. Grace Logan Akins. Margaret Scott Akins. Charles Tucker Allen. Gabriel Almeida. Melanie Luna Alvarado Crespo. Detzel Gianni Antizana. Mark David Luke Armendariz. Hansen Vidman Arvind. John Varned Asel. Maximilian Patel Ashton. Rebecca Grace Ayer. Zachary Michael Barnes. Ishan Nicholas Bala. Alexandra Marie Biggs. Sofia Biryukova. Eric Robert Bjorkland. Eric Kieran Boson. Devin Seong Bolt. Claire Marie Bonner. Mackenzie Elizabeth Brady. Liam Conroy Bridge. Annika Grace Britton. Sophia Brown Padilla. Sean Richard Butler. Amanda Elizabeth Byrne. Javier Caceres Santabañez. Taylor Anson Cannon. Sophia Lee Chuen. Aiden Howard Clark. Kat Elizabeth Cooper. Nicholas Philpott Costa. Noah Covington. Manuela Lynn Cox. John Normand Creed. Charlotte Francis Crum. Kathleen Janessa Deal. Tanya Del Morel. Christopher Dang, Jr. William Daniel Dixon. Raquel Sophia Dodd. Claire Elizabeth Doss. Laura Whittlesey Duffett. Kylie Alexis Dunn. Sigrid Onaveri Edson. Fatima Ali El-Zamzami. Haven Dawn Erie. Jack McIntosh Felgar. Megan Francis Ferguson. Andrew Carr Fickenshire. Brendan Michael Fletchell. Connor Shaughnessy Fletchell. Kayla Aubrey Freeman. Ryan Donald Fry.
David Anthony Gardner. Emma Linnell Gardner. James Thomas Gogol. Andrew Gregory Goodwin. Scott Richard Graffam. Charlotte Allison Gregory. Claudia Aziska Guzman. Rebecca Grace Haggie. West Carlton Hegler. Selwyn Swift Hemingway. Colin Andrew Henderson. Rosalinda Hernandez. Mark Perovic Hine. Lorian Bond Hins. Rivers Ann Hoig. Zachary Jean Holmes. Nicole Shelby Hornbuckle. Isabella Lee Hubble. Catherine Elizabeth Ping Hurst. Mina Ito. Adam Patrick Janicki. Casey Margaret Jenkins. Nicholas Antonio Jimenez. Carter Andrew Jones. Eleanor Margaret Kay. Kristen Marie Kay. Maeve Erin Keating. Cheney Edge Keck. Grace Alexandra Keenan. Brian Arthur Kennedy. Ima Kuwaja. Christopher Seyun Kim. Nanakwame Abiram Karanchi. Helen Randall Kraft. Melina Marie Kratzer. Athena Kaylin Coleman. Madeline Riley LaCroix. Harmony Amber LaJeunesse. Chelsea Ann Lang. Miles Matthew Langford. Said Aliyah Lalich. Audrey Brooks Lindsay. Isabel Hershella Liu. Sonia Hershella Liu. Simon David Lundquist. Linlin Lee. Maura Catherine Mann. Juliana Marcus. Eric Scott Martin. Eva Brito Mendez. Samir Singh Miglani. Madison Alicia Moeller. Maria K. Morris. Jack Edison Moyer. Jason Vosvi Mueller. Vlad Christian Montanu. Brian Gordon Murphy. Connor John Murray. J. Maxwell Nesson. Matthew Putnam Ing. Hien Nguyen. Jeffrey Anthony Nugara. Thomas James Nystrom. Catherine Arlie Rose O'Neill. James Perez Obuson. Cecilia Owen. Alif Ozbek.
Anna Parsov. Christine Fan. Thomas Scott Pierce. Elizabeth Pierre. Victoria Pianskiva. Melanie Andrea Pishner. Sophie Wen Ying Pitaluga. Sarah Lance Posey. George Manindra Price. Addison Charles Rasmussen. Cassandra Diane Rice. Katie Nurse Rice. Lara Faiza Riyad. Jacob Daniel Robbins. Thomas Jargle Roche. Ariana Moonhee Rocco. Shannon Avery Rogers. Sabrina Stratton Rodock. Alexander Ronin. Emily Brooke Ruby. Riley Ann Ruyak. Shay Ellen Ruyak. Dakota Quadria Sakine. Jonathan Osmel Sanchez. Luke Emerson Sawsville. Rupert Sergey Schwartz. Lady Shields. Cameron Chinwari. Ethan Michael Cisbaro. Isabella Ann Sisson. Alexander James Smith. Grayson Michael Smith. Holman Paxton Smith. Nikita Stanislavovich Solyolov. Alexandra Natalie Soria. Nicholas Brian Spencer. Simone Elise Stoner. Catherine Isabel Stryker. Eamon Michael Bailey Sugarman. Sierra Catherine Sulk. Sean Arjuna Swick. David Franklin Schools Tartar. Christian Georges Teddy. Sean Fitzgerald Thomas. Jeffrey Scott Tornell, Jr. Michael Torres. Ariana Sue Turner. Nicholas Edward Upham. Sarah Renee Valley. Thunder Taika Genesis Van Hine Wallace. Axel Eduardo Vargas Rincon. Alexander Aiden Vaughn. Brian Villegas Sanchez. Lila Elizabeth Washa. Gift Chancellor Washington. Calvin Nicholas Weber. Danielle Elizabeth Welch. Anton Williams. Rue Williams. Acacia Karen Wyckoff. Lifan Shu. Asano Kareem Ivan. Nicholas Thomas Zenger. Hannah Zaveri. Kaylee Jewel Ziegler. Myra Nagata Zing.
Hi, everyone. As the final student speaker, I'd like to start by telling a story about my very first experience at Mason. My first experience was walking into volleyball tryouts the summer before my freshman year. I'm not a lifer with Falls Church City Public Schools, so I thought that playing a sport would help me make friends. The issue was that I had never really played volleyball before. I was intensely afraid of volleyballs being spiked at me, so I was always moving out of the way. And I couldn't serve a ball over the net to save my life. The first thing we were asked to do was to pass. And while I was attempting to do this, I kept over-aiming and therefore got not one, but 2 volleyballs stuck in the ceiling within the first 5 minutes. As you can see, I had an incredibly strong start to my years at Mason. However, just because my first experience at Mason wasn't a great one, that first experience didn't define me or stop me from being a part of other amazing things. For the past 4 years of high school, we have been largely defined by our friend group, our GPA, whether or not we did the IB diploma, whether we were a starter in every game or sat the bench, whether we stood in the background of every musical making facial expressions, or starred front stage. But going into the future, those things aren't going to define us anymore. Moving forward, what defines us, what matters to the world, and what is so much more important than our first experiences is how we respond when we get volleyballs stuck in the ceiling and how we treat others when they get volleyballs stuck in the ceiling. Our class has a friendly and kind spirit, and that's what makes us special. We do things like having a grade-wide snowball fight, sharing Schoology posts by club leaders or student council that make everyone laugh, and we have classmates that create web extensions for us. That's what has made Mason our home for the last 4 years. As Elwoods once said, you must always have faith in people, and most importantly, you must always have faith in yourself. So congratulations, class of 2019. Let's go out into the world, go for whatever we want, and have faith in ourselves because we've got a great group of people that support us back home, even if we get volleyballs stuck in the ceiling.
Mustangs, the culmination of 12 years of relentless persistence, both inside and outside the classroom, is finally upon you. I'd like to take you back to the first week of your senior year for a moment. We met in the auditorium, and I told you, savor every single minute, because this year will fly by. Well, maybe not the sleepless nights trying to finish your personal finance and economics modules, or having to prepare for, let's say, 7 assessments over a 10-day period, but I think you understood my point. During our meeting, we also discussed a level of responsibility you now had as leaders of the underclassmen. This class was granted several senior privileges. Many that came before you were not. Why, might you ask? Well, it's directly related to the countless number of exceptional qualities you have portrayed throughout your 4 years at George Mason. The 202 graduates here today are caring. How does one embody everything it means to display kindness and concern for others? Just like each of you, they put others first. Putting others first is a great challenge, especially when the world of academia is structured in a way where everyone must compete to achieve their goals. What I've noticed about this class is that while they have their own goals, they have somehow managed to formulate collective goals through collaboration and constant support. It is often said that caring is innate. I would argue that this class has proven such a powerful trait can in fact be learned through their experiences with one another. I can also assure you, Senora Planas played a significant role in teaching us how to care. Suzanne Planas exemplifies not only this IB learner profile trait, but the action behind it. From guiding many of you through your CAST projects, to leading the Habitat for Humanity efforts, to her unwavering commitment to her craft, she has served as a trailblazer for establishing a culture of caring at George Mason. For that, we all thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Another unique quality possessed by the class of 2019 is adaptability. It is clear 4 years at George Mason taught each of you how to adjust to new conditions. And by conditions, I'm not referring to the condition of the building you adapted to. Indoor rain, interesting smells, dodging ceiling tiles, classrooms without heat. Clearly, I could go on and on. Actually, you know what? I might just go ahead and ask Dr. Noonan right now. Can any graduate here today come back and redo their senior year when the new building opens? What do you think? On a more serious note, I have absolutely marveled at this class's ability to break down barriers and overcome anything that stands in their way. One of the most overlooked qualities this year's class possesses is resilience. The Mustangs in front of me have navigated their way through 4 years of rigorous instruction, societal transformations, and increasingly high expectations in multiple facets of their lives. They have shown the ability to experience failure and grow. And as a result, this has now become an extraordinarily critical component to the journey our kids are preparing to embark upon. Failure breeds success, and the level of resilience one exudes can make a tremendous difference. Seniors, and that will be the last time you're referred to as such. Each of these 3 qualities you possess will allow you ultimate success in life. I promise that if you care for others, adapt to change, and exercise resilience, you will achieve greatness in whichever path you choose. On behalf of the George Mason faculty, the Office of the Superintendent, and the school board, and with the power vested in me by the Department of Education of the Commonwealth of Virginia, I hereby confer upon you these diplomas in recognition of your fulfillment of the requirements for your high school graduation. Mr. Pekraldis, Dr. Noonan, Ms. Michael, Mr. Anderson, Mayor Tarter, faculty of George Mason, parents, relatives, and guests, I present to you the George Mason High School graduated class of 2019. Hit it!
This is me, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me.
No, they're going.
5, 4, 3. Okay, hit it.
Thank you.